Your microservices definition says that every microservice should have its own database. Why? A microservice must be independently deployed. And when it is independently deployed, independently maintained, having an independent database is going to help, right? So having an independent database is going to help. And this independent database, when you have that, then it will give you the entire control on that one. But is it logical? The question is it logical to have an independent database? Think about it. If you go granular, if you have a customer domain and if you create 2, 3 microservices, okay? And when you create 2, 3 databases, earlier your DBA team has only one. 1 second, if you can hold on, please. Sorry about that. So if you have only one database, then there is a dev, QA, staging, demo, production, about 4 or 5 environments. And your DBAs are used to managing 5 databases, database refreshes, database replications, and all those things, right? So when you have one database for each microservice, and if you create 2 microservices in your domain, in your customer domain, and 2 in orders domain, 2 in products domain, then there are total 6. Then that means 6 databases in each environment. And if you have 5 environments, then there are 30 databases. Cost wise, it is going to be on a higher side. Maintaining, refreshing, replicating, and if it is like a cross-region kind of availability that you want to have, east-west, you need to have in the east zone and west zone, then definitely cost is going to go high. So question is that what normally organizations do? Yes and no. This is where it is a topic to debate. So what I have seen is if you have a one microservice that handles most of the customer related related functionality, then you create one database, then fine, you will have one database for customer. The moment when you are adding more and more microservices, because I have seen organizations where there are about 70-80 microservices. When you have 70-80 microservices within about 5-6 domains, then what happens is you will have 70 databases in each of the environments. So I have seen a couple of options that I wanted to share. By no means, some people may say, microservices purists may say, no, that that deviates from the best practices. Absolutely, I'm not saying that. Hey, it is okay to do that, but in what context it is okay to do that is what I'm going to explain. See, I have seen some places where you have one database for each domain. That means your customer domain, even if you have 2 to 3 microservices internally, will have one domain, one database, and then you can maybe have some logical separation by creating schemas within your database if needed. But otherwise, there is one database. Then what you are saying is, if my database is down, my 2 or 3 microservices that have pretty much all of them cannot operate. If you are okay with that expectation, if your business model is okay running that way, then you can create one database for each domain and then have schemas where you will have logical segregation. That means instead of 3 or 4, you will have one database. But tomorrow, if you are adding a new microservice in your domain, and if your new microservice needs a separate database, that is possible. You create a separate database for that particular microservice because you want that to be independently available regardless of other. But rest of the microservices, if they are okay to operate as one unit, first thing is as part of your analysis, you should question, is this one microservice candidate? Why are we breaking this into 2 or 3 microservices? If you have a valid answer for that, yes, go for it. But otherwise, when there is only one database, can we have this functionality grouped as part of one microservice and make it available? Okay, so that is something that you need to think about. So a domain can have one database and you can use schema level segregation if needed, but that depends. You need to talk about that use case. That way you're not having hundreds of databases to maintain and manage. So you can have, if you have 5 or 6 domains within your business domain, then you can have 5, 6 databases, and anything that needs a separate database, you can always create and use it. So that's what I have seen and I have done. I want to hear from this group if you have seen anything similar to that, or if that causes any problem based on your understanding of microservices.
Suresh, like personally, I have seen people applying microservices only on the middle tier, where database is monolith, front end is monolith. So uh, that's what I have seen. Databases people are. That's what there's a lot of stuff happens to create independent databases, how to uh, keep in sync, all those things, all those issues arise. So. Uh, those are my experiences.
Yep. Again, there is it all depends on how granular your microservices are. If your microservices are granular, then if you start creating the databases, at some point your infrastructure team is going to say, what's going on? My cost is going high. And on top of that, you're coming back and saying that, hey, just in case if east zone on cloud is down, I want all the traffic to route to west zone. So I need to have these things available in west also. Then that doubles my cost. So earlier I used to have one instance of Postgres or MySQL database running. Now you're asking me for 40 Postgres databases. Then if I create these many databases, who's going to manage it? Okay, all these things, everything depends on your business, how your business wants to operate, and then again, it can be anything, guys. I'm sure if you speak about agile framework, then you need to see what works for your company based on your maturity and make certain decisions. In the same way, don't deviate from the core principles, but see what makes sense based on your context, and then make decisions.
Suresh,
Yes.
Asan, who's enterprise architect at Moderna, he has some input. Go ahead, Asan.
Yes, please.
Sure. I'll try to be quick. I know we don't have a lot of time. It's like, so basically, coming from my past background, coming from the enterprise service by design, service-oriented architecture, then microservices. There are a lot of similarities, but there are also at the same time, there's one evolved from the other to a certain degree, in my opinion, but also at the same time, there are a lot of patterns kind of coexist. You have to kind of not just say, okay, this is the hard and fast rule. This is the only way I'm going to implement certain things. I'll give an example in a regulated industry like a pharmaceutical world. How data moves oftentimes could be a big roadblock. How long it takes you to go out to the market to release a product, release a technology product. Because what is the concept called GXP? That means if data moves from, if you have multiple databases, if you move, that means you have to verify every data, and their QA process is extremely strict. That could take months literally to kind of just to release a product. So oftentimes, sometimes, as you were saying, Suresh, sometimes, yeah, there might be a case for having a database for a microservice, but there are other cases that sometimes it's just a standalone service. Build with the service-oriented foundation is that You provide the data and it computes and provides you a result. So in that case, a database may not be necessary. So it's like kind of depends on the design and what problems you're trying to solve in some of these, and how it ties with the business process overall to a certain degree. I've seen that, and sometimes it's just you have to use complementary patterns to kind of have a successful microservices strategy.
Yep, totally agree, Arshad. Yes. Yeah, it depends on your business case, and then at times you have to make decisions based on that. And yep, completely agree.
Yeah.
Yes, Anand?
Yeah, it's the same thing. I think Hassan, I think your name is. I think you said it very well. So the decisions, in my opinion, also should be governed by what kind of business capability and what kind of technical capability we're trying to provide, right? Including security. Like for example, right, there could be data which is in the same domain, but the data which is handled by microservices could be PII, something is more protected. Maybe you create a separate database for that. So there are those kinds of decisions need to be made based on how you're using the data. So there's this business capability usage of the data also could drive whether you want to go down to have each, I mean, which microservices you can have a separate database, which one you should not, kind of thing.
Yep, absolutely, Anand. That's my, as I said, if there is any one use case where you feel that this data has to be managed in a different way, cannot commingle with the rest of the customer same domain data, and that application that is going to use this data has to be available all the time, regardless of whether other portions of this domain, the functionality is available or not. Then you immediately pull that and create your own database for that.